All right, hopefully y'all can hear me. Just want to jump on real quick and say a few words about leadership at HBCUs. And the reason being, usually when you see me jump on here to say something, is because I'm getting a lot of feedback about a particular topic, and that topic is something uh, that probably has some connection or some value to other HBCUs in the sector. And I've been writing about this uh, for the better part of 10 years. I've been covering HBCUs for a third of my life. I'm 39 years old, man. And I don't know if I can say this more plainly. I don't know if I can say this more urgently. We have to get serious about who runs our schools. And this is a topic that is going to be even more important in the next 12 to 18 months as HBCUs try to figure out how we recover from this pandemic. We can't allow boards of trustees, and more specifically, governors and lawmakers who influence these boards of trustees, to have their way with these institutions. I've been getting a lot of uh, emails and texts and calls about Lincoln in Pennsylvania. When you gonna say something about Lincoln? When you gonna say something about Lincoln? And the difficulty is, I don't know what to say about Lincoln, because the alumni and the students and the faculty have spoken. And what I'm hoping that they will have a better a better understanding of is one simple question that I think they and a lot of alumni and students and stakeholders all over the country should ask themselves. When it comes to anything on an HBCU, how often do you guys find that you agree with the governor? Ask yourself how many times, when it comes to what's going on with your HBCU, with its funding, whether it's new buildings, whether it's leadership, how many times do you agree with what the governor is saying? The answer is typically, for most HBCUs, very little of the time, if at all. And at Lincoln, the situation is now nearly unanimously, the alumni, the stakeholders, the students, the faculty, they agree with the governor about their president. Now, let me make this very clear. I don't know Dr. Allen. From the outside, she looks like a great president who's doing great things for alma mater. I hope to be able to get to interview her one day and get to have her work really showcased on the digest, so that folks who are trying to get an institution to increase metrics like enrollment, fundraising, stuff like that, can learn from what she's done and what the alumni have done, what the students have done, and her team has done. I just over the course of my life, it's very few times where you hear a governor, particularly in a state like Pennsylvania, which has, if at all, ever been nice to its HBCUs, that you hear the governor of a state with a history of being antagonistic towards black colleges have the same message and the same desires as alumni. That's just too rare. And that scares me to death, because it is typical that governors and lawmakers in a lot of these HBCU states, and particularly in the South, they don't have the best interest for HBCUs. So if they're weighing in on who they want to be a president, if they're weighing in on who they want to be a chancellor, or what they want to see happen at a school, alumni need to jump on that very quickly. And we've had too many instances of that, where whether you hear a governor or a lawmaker outright say, this is who I think should be the president, you just got to ask yourself the question, why do certain politicians want certain things to happen with leadership at our schools? And is that for the best of our schools? Is that for us to be really better off? Or is it something to continue an antagonistic relationship with our school? And for what reason? We see it all over the country: Pennsylvania, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi. People put presidents into places. Everybody says, well, we got to give him a chance. We got to let him have it. It's an alumni. Trust him. Trust him. He went to the school. She went to the school. Trust him. The governor wants him. They're okay. They trust him. Trust him. Trust him. 3 or 4 years later, the school is literally effed up. And you wonder how this happened. And, so often we're quick to say, well, it's incompetence. What if it's not incompetence? What if it's specific expertise in doing what a governor or a legislative body wants our presidents and our boards to do? What if it's a matter of board members who are appointed by governors and by legislators to do something to a school that on the outside makes it seem like it's good for the institution, but on the inside, when you think about how higher education is run, is terrible? There's a reason that our sector has so much more presidential turnover than any other kind of college or university in the country. And that so much of that turnover is related to the public institutions. So much of that turnover is related to black women being in leadership and having a lower threshold or margin of error. We gotta wake up. We gotta wake up about these institutions, man. We gotta wake up about who's running them. Because we keep assuming, oh, any president will do, or we'll be able to hold them accountable. Usually by the time you find out something is going wrong with your school, it's too late. The damage has been done and will be done for a couple of years. And the process starts all over when it's time to get a new president. So what I'm saying to people, what I'm hoping that people realize when you look at examples like South Carolina State, where a trustee gets elevated to become a president of the institution, South Carolina State in a bad way on enrollment, Albany State merges with a PWI. 2 presidents come in, no presidential searches. They just get put into place like it's a high school. Albany State in a bad way. Everything growing all around the school, Albany State isn't growing. You see the same thing in Texas. Austin Lane gets tossed out of Texas Southern. The board is divided. Anytime you see a divided public board, that's politics at its finest at work. That's the governor's people saying one thing, and that's the people who care about the institution saying another. And we gotta take a different position on these institutions and who runs them, man. If we don't learn that we have to pay attention, that we have to vet these candidates, that we have to be more involved in what kind of attention is being paid to these schools, it may look good from the outside. You're building a bunch of buildings, or your enrollment goes up, but you have no clue about the damage being done, about the turnover being created with these vice presidents and with some of these key positions, with some of the contracts being approved for some of these schools. We have to pay more attention. You can't look up and say the school is messed up, enrollment is all the way down, we got financial trouble, we're getting audited, we're winding up in the papers for bad stuff, and you didn't start at the beginning to figure out what kind of president is running this place. What is their track record? What are they really here to do, and who sent them here? I promise you, I had no intentions on talking about this today. I just want to enjoy my Sunday. I just want to enjoy my family. But when you keep getting these calls, and people keep hitting my inbox, and people keep texting saying you need to say something about how these presidents are getting selected, we're not paying attention. We're not making HBCU governance a key part of the way that we think about candidates, that we think about our elected officials, that we hold them accountable. We like what they say, but we never think about who are you putting in place to run my school? Who are you putting in place to make decisions on behalf of my alma mater? And why are you putting them there? What are you sending them here to do? If you were to track how many presidents have come in under some controversy, half a board wants to fire him, the other half wants to keep him. And then look at some of the metrics that happen after that. Where's our enrollment? Where's our institutional debt? Where's our faculty retention? Where's our student retention? Things can change up in a matter of years, and you don't know it until it hits the newspapers, and everything's all bad because we didn't pay attention up front. So again, for Lincoln, I don't know anything about Dr. Allen. Far be it from me to tell, Lincoln how to run their school. I just want people to ask themselves the question, how often have you agreed with the governor of Pennsylvania on what they're doing to your school? How often do y'all have the same exact philosophy on what's best for Lincoln or what's best for Cheney? Very, very rare. And there's a reason why a board that was split, or basically, 52-48 or whatever it was when they initially voted on their contract, is now all of a sudden unanimous. That doesn't happen that way. That doesn't happen that way without politics. I am asking, I am begging. Please pay more attention to who is running your school, how they get there, and what they intend to do while they're there for however long they will be there. Because if you don't pay attention, if it doesn't matter to you, if them being a graduate or them being a soror or a fraternity brother or them being light skinned or dark skinned, them being from the state, them working for the White House or for the state government or for the public system of higher education means nothing. Oftentimes, their intentions don't mean anything. However well they want to do for the school doesn't mean anything. Because picture this, there's a whole bunch of stuff that a person can come into a job, can come into a presidency or come into a chancellorship and say, I want to do this. I know how to do this. But when the governor or the system president says, you're going to do this, you're going to limit the number of out-of-state enrollees at your school, you're going to cut some of these programs, you're going to add this program, you're going to do this with sports, you're not going to do this with sports. Who are they to say to keep their job? Who are they to tell that system president or the governor, no, I ain't doing it? And the only thing that insulates them from that kind of interference from a governor or anybody else telling them how to run the school, telling them who to hire, telling them what to do, is the alumni being active and engaged in the process. At some point, I'm gonna have a conversation with you guys. I'm gonna get on live and talk about alumni engagement and talk about what institutions can do. But right now, I just really want to focus and really want people to be aware that they got to hold these boards and these lawmakers to account, because we can't afford in a pandemic where millions of black folks all over the country are losing jobs, can't afford to send themselves or their children to school, can't afford the travel to be out of state, can't afford the health risks of being out of state. Leadership is going to be the most critical element of HBCU survival over the next 2 to 4 years. How good can leaders be? How effective can they be at listening? How effective can they be at looking? And how effective can they be at lobbying? Federal and state government. And if you don't have a good president in place, if you have somebody who is a nice person, good looking, charismatic and all that, it ain't going to mean a damn thing if your enrollment goes down by 200, 300 kids. You're sunk. People getting laid off. Buildings going to get taken offline. Programs going to get cut. And the HBCU you knew as a student is going to be totally different. And it ain't coming back. It ain't coming back. These same legislators who are putting people in place at our schools, who are putting board members in place at our schools, as time goes on, they're going to learn, oh, okay, we can still offer stuff and not have to spend as much money on it. Budgets are going to get slashed. Programs are going to get cut. This is a really bad time. This is a really bad time for HBCUs. And in the same way that I stress for folks to pay more attention about philanthropy, I'm asking you now, I'm begging you now, please get more involved. Please get more publicly involved in how leaders are selected for our schools. Call your representatives, call your federal and state senators and congressmen, because they know as well. Call your governor, write your governor. I don't know how safe it is to protest in every city, but we were out there a few months ago. Be present. Ask the right questions. Why are they here? What is it that you want this institution to do where you're putting this person in at this time? Don't be afraid. Don't take it lightly, because the person that we're putting in today is making moves that are going to affect every institution 3 to 5 years from now. And if they're doing that for political reasons that may not even be known to them, it's the institution that suffers. It's the students that suffer. Ask yourself the question, just one more time, ask yourself the question. How often do you, HBCU alumnus, do you, HBCU student or stakeholder or faculty member, agree with your governor? And then do you guys agree with who the governor is putting in place on your board or who they endorse for president? If you guys have common ground, something is wrong because you're on the ground at your institution. You graduated from there. You study there now. You know what your school needs. The governor ain't been there. So how is it that y'all can have the same philosophy and the same priorities with one group of people who's been on the ground at the institution and the other one who ain't never stepped foot on the campus? But y'all feel the same way about who should run the campus. So I don't know how many ways we could say it. I'm not going to scream and cuss, especially on a Sunday. But if I could, I would, because it's that serious. Please be more dialed in on who's running your schools. I'm telling you, we've already had the warnings. At some places, South Carolina State, Albany State, Savannah State, Southern, this is already happening. Grambling, this is already happening. FAMU, it's already happening. Not paying attention to who's being asked to run the school. Morgan, my alma mater, it's already happening. Elizabeth City, it's already happening. Fayetteville State, on the way. Winston-Salem, on the way. So Lincoln and Cheney, here. Already been done. So, I'm just asking, like, you guys, please pay attention. I know how much all of you love your HBCUs. I know how much all of us love this sector, but we are the most disengaged people when it comes to asking the right questions about our institutional infrastructure. And, when we're running out of money and we're running out of bodies, pretty soon we're running out of time. So, hope you guys found some value in this. And I'm looking forward to the next one. Peace.